Welcome back to the Scorpio Bookshelf. I'm Joaquin.
And I'm Morgan, and this is a podcast about books, besties, and escaping reality.
Happy Friday.
This has been the longest week of my entire existence.
This week killed us.
You're lucky we're even here, awake, alive, existing in the universe right now.
Yeah. If I blipped like in Marvel, I'd be fine with it. Just come back 5 years later. It's fine.
If some fae prince wants to drag me through a portal any time now, that would be great.
Oh my gosh. Can't even fit through a door with those wings.
Oh, Lord. Well, today is going to be another chatty, opinionated episode. Is anyone surprised?
I was going to say, that's all we do.
Shock of all shocks, we're going to tell you how we feel about something.
Yeah, and if you don't like it, keep listening.
Feel free to disagree with us. I love it.
I would love to see people disagree.
This week, we are going to talk about the explosion of special editions. They are everywhere now. Every book has a sprayed edge. Everybody has end papers. Everything is exciting. And we're going to give you all of our thoughts, feelings, opinions on that.
Absolutely.
I think I'll start by saying I do buy into the special edition thing. Quite a bit. More than some people.
More than the regular human.
I am someone who has purchased a fair number of things resale. So I'll preface that my opinion is not totally unbiased.
Well, granted, you do find a lot of them for really great prices.
Oh, I do be lurking Facebook Marketplace.
And you're very specific about your choices, what books you're actually going to do, and gauging whether or not it's actually a good price versus just seeing it on Marketplace or something and being like, oh my gosh, it's there, buy it at 500% markup. No.
Yes. So I think we have interesting opinions as Canadians because these special editions, A, are widely unavailable to us, and B, wildly expensive.
Yeah, even regular books are just disgusting here right now.
Yeah, so if you look at special editions, even the sprayed edge ones that are coming to your standard bookstore in Canada, that's Indigo, in the US, that's Barnes & Noble, even those in Canada are like $40, $45, sometimes $50. That's atrocious.
That's like 2.5 hours of work for most people.
Yeah, like that's like 2 fast food meals out.
I gauge everything by fast food meals too. I literally didn't know you did that. Wow, that's so funny. I literally go, that's like 3 Wendy's orders.
No, me literally being like, I could get an atrocious Starbucks order 3 times this week for that price.
Yes! Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Not like we're besties in the same fucking brain cell or anything.
I just didn't think. I thought it was quirky being on my own with that.
No, it probably is quirky. We're just the same kind of quirky.
Oh my god.
Literally, Joaquin and I have not had one unique experience.
Yeah, I don't just copy and paste. Like, it's so funny.
We have literally discovered in the last, 2 weeks that we have the same favorite color.
Yeah. Now this. What's next? That's crazy.
Both Scorpios, both introverted.
Hence the title, yeah.
Here we are. Anyways, that was a great diversion.
Love it.
But special editions are very, very expensive in Canada, and book boxes, if they ship here at all, tend to be like $15, $20, $30 US for shipping here.
Right.
Which is psychotic.
That's just for yo. I mean, if you're looking at it from a business standpoint, those boxes are doing so good because they're making it so exclusive so that if anyone were to see it anywhere else, they automatically want to jump at it.
Yeah. So I think that's a big point that I was going to hit on this episode is that special editions used to be about the exclusivity of having something different than what's mass published. a lot of these special editions are very mass published now.
Mm-hmm.
You can walk into most bookstores and 5 of the shelves will have sprayed edges on them.
Yeah.
So, like, how special is a special edition when it's that widely available?
I'm really starting to just straight up separate them. Before, I used to be like, anything other than a regular cover and back of a book, like just straight cover, was special edition. Now, it's literally the paperback, the hardcover, regular, and then it's sprayed edge. I would even call it like tiny design. So even like Fourth Wing with the little dragons, that's like smaller. The basic color sprayed edge, nothing. To me, that's just the page. And when it comes into specific different covers, unique covers, different coloring, materials, and stuff like that, then it becomes special edition. But you're right, they're just everywhere.
I think that's a really great point to note is like I've seen a lot of language now in regular bookstores that these sprayed edge editions are now not being called special editions, they're being called deluxe editions.
Facts.
So it's almost like they've had to move away from special editions because they're not that special anymore. A sprayed edge is not that unique. If it's not a new cover or end paper art or signed or something above and beyond that sprayed edge now, not special.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because I know I've been in the reading space a lot longer than you have. As a teenager, I can't even recall a single book that had sprayed edges.
I think, well, the way I'm thinking about it is before, when they were actually special, was like in the movies where you would see people lining up for, like, I mean, they line up now, but the way they would line up before was like, I'm camping out 2 days ahead. Now, any new release, you know, it's going to have special editions. You're going to have a loot bag when you go in there for the midnight release party. But that happens with every single more popular release. So
Bang on.
There's nothing special about driving to Indigo on a day, on like the midnight, and be like, okay, I called in to work tomorrow so I can just binge read this book just like whatever everyone else. But I didn't really work that hard for that. So like there's no real feeling of accomplishment getting that special one of 200 in your state or whatever book.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, honestly, because I look at things like, I think we're probably going to hit on Fourth Wing a lot in this episode because it is notorious for the number of special editions that it has. The Onyx Storm release, people were psychotic for that Target special edition. Psychotic. The only difference was that it was a different dragon on the sprayed edge, and it had different interior art that was later discovered to just be AI anyways, so it didn't matter.
I didn't know that.
Okay, it's either AI or it's stock. I don't remember, but they're not unique photos to that book. So they're not as coveted as they should have been. Anyway, so I look at things like that, and those also came back into stock after they sold out. My understanding of special editions is typically once they're gone, they're gone.
Should be.
Because, like, how special is special if they sell out, realize there's a big demand, and go, oh, let's sell that again?
That's no fun.
What's the point of that? It's not coveted. It's not... To me, a special edition is, like, limited run, different cover, end paper art, signed, coveted, like, this is going to be a prized bookish possession type situation.
Yeah.
So I look at things like, for example, the fairy loots or the owl crates of the world, that if you subscribe to their monthly box, yes, you are getting special edition books. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is that these super popular special editions from, say, Fairy Loot don't go in the monthly boxes.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They are separate side sales, and the monthly boxes are almost always smaller or indie even books that they've done the sides and redone the cover.
That's crazy.
And I don't know about other countries, but in Canada specifically, Fairy Loot is almost $75 a month.
Oh.
After shipping and tax, and I've never ordered it, so I don't know if it would get hit with duty. It might. And it's that expensive every month. There's only a certain number of skips in a year, and it literally is potentially, for months and months on end, books you won't read.
Yeah.
How special really is that? Versus, like, okay, fuck J.K. Rowling, that's my opinion on that, but, like, the OG first edition different cover releases of Harry Potter. That shit was special.
Yeah.
That was like they released a different cover at midnight releases and never sold them again after midnight passed. That shit's special.
They just did it so differently back then.
And I don't know, like, what do you think has changed? Like, what has caused this crazy uptick in book boxes, crazy shift in special editions?
Both.
Is it social media?
I wouldn't say media in general. Social media just amplifies it. I think it's tandem of company and like capitalist greed, along with,
of course,
just straight up consumerism and the feeling of like just wanting everything. Everyone just wants everything always, so it doesn't even matter if they're just straight up throwing money into the trash. They just want to be able to say they're part of X, they're part of Y. So businesses just kept like being like, all right, sick. You guys all want to be part of this? Special edition, here's 50 million of them. And it doesn't matter. They know they're going to buy them anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like what's crazy to me is myself and one of our friends recently actually got emails for getting off the Fairy Loot wait list. And after both of us being on the wait list for like a year, we both decided not to jump on it. Because I think the idea of having to be on a wait list for these crazy special editions that nobody else can get their hands on, that's the hype. The hype is not actually the books.
Literally.
And you don't realize that until you're like at checkout with your credit card in your hand going, what am I doing with my life right now?
Mm-hmm.
Because I spent a year being like, oh my God, I want to get off the wait list. Oh my God, I want to get off the wait list. And then I finally got that email and was like, I can't justify $75 a month on books I've never heard of that I will potentially not enjoy and not read. Why would I do that?
That makes you wonder the people who are just sitting there collecting books that they are never going to read ever.
So that's why I said, do you think social media is a factor? Because I know a lot of people that have long-term Fairy Loot, Illumicrate, Owlcrate, LitJoy, all of those subscriptions that face their book spines the opposite way to normal on their shelves. So it's just shelves and shelves and shelves of sprayed edges in their backgrounds that looks like they have this crazy collection of special editions. And this is not a call out to anyone who enjoys these book boxes, but like it feels like the vast majority of people aren't reading the vast majority of what they're getting in these boxes. I can tell you personally, like I said, I am a big Facebook Marketplace person. I know what special editions I want, and I look for them for a long time, typically. Mm-hmm. There are like 35 copies of Courting Bristol Keats from Fairy Loot that came out in like the end of last year, beginning of this year, for $15 or less on my local Facebook Marketplace. Because nobody wants to read it. Nobody wants the special edition of it. So sorry to whoever that author is, but like I've seen a dozen of them for a fraction of what these people had to have paid for them. So it's like, that is just straight up consumerism at that point. They're not even making their money back.
No, literally. But if you also have to think about it, your region and area is quite like wealthy. You have the province, yes. You have the capital of the country right there. Yeah. So yeah. The money that is being made in that area and the things that are being thrown out is just a higher level. If I'm comparing, well, because we compare all the time, my thrift stores versus your thrift stores, yes. You almost always win. You always walk out with something, not just because you like buying things, maybe that's a little bit of it, but just the quality and the things that are being given away, people don't really care as much. I have not seen one special edition or one classic, like, release of a book ever really on my on shelves in my thrift stores. The only things I ever see are 400 books of the 50 Shades of Grey, a couple Twilights, like the newer versions, and the Divergent series, and that's really it. Everything else is like cookbooks and stuff that like that. So
Yeah, I think that's a fair call out, is that the region that I live in certainly makes a difference to that experience. I think I'm probably somewhere where more people make more money than a lot of other smaller cities. I'm sure if you live downtown Toronto, it would be a similar experience, that there's probably a lot more
definitely.
stuff available on Marketplace than in small towns. Um, but yeah, like we were talking about this the other day. I literally just got a special edition copy of The Secret Life of Addie LaRue. Secret, what, Invisible? Whatever that book title is, at the thrift store for $6.99.
Yeah.
Like a week ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so there are all these people that are just ordering these consumables over and over and over and over again, doing nothing with them, and then selling them for a loss. What does that say about the state of these special editions, that people are willing to just keep doing this and take loss after loss on selling them? Like, that's crazy to me. I can't imagine throwing hundreds of dollars a year at a subscription like this, knowing that the ones I wouldn't want wouldn't sell.
I feel like the only people who, like you were saying, have shelves and shelves of reversed books are the people, like editors, like really people who are so into the books that like the behind the scenes side, so they have to have all these. It feels like, I don't know. I just feel like it's there's no. I'm trying to be devil's advocate with those type of extra consumerism people, but I can't find a reason to justify this unless you just have money to burn. And if you do, I'm so happy for you because no one else is in that boat. But like, what?
Yeah, I think the big point here is like, there's all this hype around special editions. There's all this built up exclusivity that just really doesn't seem to actually be true in practice. So, like, I will throw out there, Joaquin knows this because my husband tried to enlist his help.
Yeah.
For Valentine's Day, my husband tried really hard to get me the Target edition of Onyx Storm. We obviously live in Canada. We don't have Target. We did not ever have access to that edition. And I wanted it for the art before I knew there was questionable things about the art. Anyways, he found one a province over from us that was listed for almost $250 Canadian. That markup is psychotic. Like, I understand not taking a loss. Totally get it. I typically buy most of my special editions that I buy resale for cost or cost plus a little bit. I refuse to buy these 500% markup books. It's crazy to me. I think a great example of the craziest markup I think I've ever seen is the OG covers of Throne of Glass. The prices that I see these frickin' books listed at is unreal. People call it the Barbie cover of Throne of Glass. It's the person's face cover. So not the ones that are out of print ones that everyone talks about. These are the ones from before that. The whole series didn't even come out in those covers. I saw someone list just Throne of Glass for $500 US the other day.
That's disgusting.
But that begs the question. There is a difference between out of print, first editions, signed books sector of special quote unquote books versus this new sort of special edition sprayed edge situation. I personally think first editions, signed editions, even like tour stop editions of books, some authors print different versions of books for book tours. Those are cooler to own and more coveted books for me personally than these newer age sprayed edge special editions. I don't know how you feel about that.
I'm still so new.
Fair.
So it's really hard for me to be able to justify what I think is worth it, because I could get very excited and go, ooh, shiny, and buy something that doesn't really hold that level of special.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I'm like, I really, really love the book. And I mean, you do know, like, I'm quite frugal with things like this, so I don't buy special editions unless I'm like, that's so crazy. And the only ones that I actually did buy, I think, are just Legends and Lattes and Bookshops and Bone Dust. And those are special, but they're not because they were mass like produced still, right? Indigo had a ton of them, mine did at least.
Mm-hmm.
So, but my thing was like, love the books, love the story, the art is great,
Mm-hmm.
and then cool. But I don't know. I'm still weeding my way through and figuring out how I feel about certain things.
So let's say, I'm trying to think of like an older book that you've read that you've loved.
Can't.
Let's just say for shits and gigs here that you absolutely adored Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I know you liked it, but let's just say it was like God tier. To me, a more coveted version of that book would be one of the first prints.
Okay.
Versus like a Fairy Loot edition of a newer book.
Oh.
To me, that OG first print copy is so much more worth spending money on than these new sort of consumerist manufactured special editions, which is crazy because I buy them. Like, I'm saying this out loud, but like, it's so hypocritical.
No, okay. When you put it like that, yes, because because I don't do books, I've collected like sports memorabilia. Like, that's my thing. So yeah. I could look and see, but the thing is, with the older OG stuff, you start getting into the really nitty gritty stuff. You're looking at the ISBN, the specific range of the numbers, or it literally would say like 7 of 14 for like sports cards and stuff like that. So then you're like, oh my gosh, I know for a fact there's only 14, versus just being like, this is really pretty. This is mass produced. This is newer, cool, but something about the old stuff, and that's also because maybe is that our age. If we talk to somebody 18s, would they feel the same way?
Well, and I was going to say, I would be interested to see if in 40 years, are the special edition books that I own going to end up being heirloom for my kids? Or are they going to have been so mass produced that they're no different than your standard bookstore book purchase? Whereas I know some of the old stuff that I own is a completely different factor than those special editions. Like, I know some of the old stuff that I own is worth money and will always be worth money.
Right. I think it depends. Like, again, the OG first release Fourth Wing stuff is going to be way worth way more than the most recent Onyx Storm, like, or the newest version of that stuff. I think it'll
for sure
hold a little bit, but it's nothing. It won't be like 450, 650 of the original Throne of Glass, because I did pull it up while you were talking about it, and
yeah, it's crazy.
That's without shipping from
or
this
tax.
Specific person, or tax, and it's eBay, so it's a bidding system, and it got up to like 650. So that's
so I am a part of a couple of special edition Facebook resale groups. That is one of the most frequent, like, searching for will accept as a trade covers is that OG, because of the Throne of Glass out of prints, that is the hard one to find. Because that is like very, very early SJM. Very early.
I don't even like it.
No, I don't like it either. It's not a nice cover. It's the coveting that first.
It's the hype.
It's the hype. Yeah, it's the hype.
That's like,
it's crazy.
That's like us being like, well, we have the very first One Dark Window and Two Distant Crowns. And when Rachel Gillig goes bananas later on, when everyone starts appreciating it,
Mm-hmm.
Well, the ones you got, the actual special editions, the ones you got, are going to be like a good chunk of change. So
Yeah, so I think that's the interesting thing is that, okay, yeah, we're talking about how a lot of these Fairy Loot books are not currently popular, worth anything, but like, if that author does pop off, suddenly they've skyrocketed, are impossible to get your hands on, whatever. So it's an interesting ebb and flow. I think it's the same as any special, deluxe, limited, anything. It used to be a thing for DVDs. Like, my husband is a big Lord of the Rings fan, and we own a number of different sets of the Lord of the Rings movies because they came in different deluxe editions. They came with different things. We also own an atrocious number of those books in special editions as well, but that's an aside.
every time I see one, I go, I wonder if he has this one.
No, I have to send you a picture. The shelf is like, we're almost out of space on his little shelf.
Wow.
It's crazy. My husband isn't even a reader. That's the funny part. He's just a huge Tolkien, Lord of the Rings fan. Anyways, I think what it comes down to at the end of the day is like, what do you value in owning a book? Is it that it looks pretty on your shelf? Is it that it's extraordinarily limited and coveted? Is it that it's a first run? Like, what of those things is the most important to you? Because if it's that your shelves look beautiful, then Fairy Loot is a great option.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're always pretty. It's not to discount that Fairy Loot doesn't make beautiful books. They do. It's just, is it worth... It's very capitalist. Is it worth spending all this money every month on books you may never read simply because they look good to show off to other people?
Yeah, because there are different types of collectors. Like
100%.
you said, there's the collector who is just, I will take anything and everything by specific author or this company. So I will just take all the Fairy Loots of 2025. That's my thing. I'll hop off of it there. I just know that I got everything from there. Doesn't matter if it's good, it's bad, whatever. Then there's the people who are quite historical. They're only looking for the very important ones that they know are OGs. Then there are people who floody, a little flaky. They'll just pick something up because they see it, cool, but they won't really go hard looking for other things. And it really depends on what type of collector you are, how much you're willing to really work for that. Because the convenience of Alcrate and Fairy Loot is why it's so good, because after you do get on and you're just like, fine, I'm here, I'll keep spending it, because you already know how long you're going to wait, and it's...
Yeah, that's the thing is, like, if you have that money to throw at it every month, and you're someone who's fine with doing the legwork of resale and that sort of thing, like, maybe it's a worthwhile investment, if that's what's important to you, is, like, getting ahead of that hype train. But otherwise, I don't... As someone who does the months of marketplace watching and digging and in search of posts and all of that sort of thing, I've spent so much less money getting the ones I actually want than I would have by just subscribing to these boxes to begin with.
Yeah.
And I think the difference, too, is something like Fairy Loot versus something like Probably Smut. Probably Smut is a much smaller, it's a more unique, like much more niche section of books that get sent out. So like the last few months of books that Probably Smut has sent out, I've read them all. I would be happy to get special editions of any of them. But the cost of those Probably Smut books is also only like 50 ballpark Canadian. Like, they're much less expensive, and their book box content is better, in my opinion, than something like Fairy Loot, because Fairy Loot has the book only or the book and goodies, but the goodies for that month don't coincide with the book in the box.
Here's the overstock.
No, it's literally random stickers, pins. You get a random
If it's
book
inconsistent,
sleeve.
there's no way I'm paying almost $1,000 just on being part of the subscription. I just mathed it. It's
Exactly.
$900 without shipping, without... So you could be looking at just under $1,500 in a year.
That's the book only box.
Sure, that's...
So it's more expensive for the one that has the additional stuff.
That's disgusting.
So yeah, I think at the end of the day, like, as someone who's willing to do the legwork to find the ones that I want, I'm always going to go that route. I'm not going to throw my money at a subscription every month when I can just troll Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
And even if you weren't in a bigger city like I am, the Facebook groups and things like Pango Books and all of that, like, if you're willing to do the legwork, These are not impossible to find. Are there some more popular ones that are certainly harder than others? Sure. But these book box special editions are not, they are not as hard to come by as they make them seem. The waitlisting and all of this hype makes it seem like, oh, you're not on this list, you're not going to get your hands on this book, and that's just not the case.
Yeah. It reminds me of the time when I was, right before my move. I don't know if I probably did tell you, is I found a Lord of the Rings, or The Hobbit, one of the first ones with like that red ring on the side or whatever. And it was my dad's, and the pages are like browning, and it's like, it smells old, and I love that. And I literally was flipping through it, and there was a receipt from my dad. Used to use receipts instead of whatever for bookmarks.
Yeah.
And it was the classic style receipt with like the real printer where it's like it would make that from like the gas station, and it literally threw me back so hard. It was like 2001, and the gas was like 30 cents a liter, and I was like freaking out. My dad was like, yeah, that's just how it was back then. And I would read it, and it was just like, this is like holy grail. It's nothing super special. It's just the fact that it came down, and it was just like, holy crap. It was so cool.
Yeah, it's like, I guarantee you. So my dad is also a big reader. We were talking about it the other day. He has 3 full, like, mover-sized boxes of OG fantasy books in my parents' basement that he just hasn't gone through in years. And I'm like, I just want to get my hands on them because I want to see what you have. I'm certain that man has old copies of the Dark Tower series by Stephen King, and so help me God, those are mine in the will.
I would go down there now and just like cellophane wrap the entire box just in case.
No, literally.
Happens. Like, actually.
No, I told them the next time I'm over at their house for an extended period of time, I'm rifling through that shit.
That's sick. I can't wait for the haul.
So I have a follow-up question to all of this special edition chat. I am also a hardcore Etsy surfer, lurker. I don't buy a lot, but I look a lot.
My cart is full. I've not purchased one thing.
The cart is... I texted Joaquin one day, and I was like, I have $560 worth of stuff in my Etsy cart right now. So, my question is it more special to buy something like a hand-painted edition of a book where someone from, like, some Etsy seller has gone and purchased the book, hopefully licensed it with the author, and then is hand painting an edge on the book versus buying one of these mass-produced special editions?
Yes. Only because... Okay, well, question. Is she taking... Well, she's not like taking a special edition and then painting over top of it. She takes more... I would assume they take the regular stuff because it's empty and like plain?
Yeah. So most of these Etsy sellers will buy either at a lower cost from the author or literally just go to the bookstore, buy the book, and then paint it, which is typically why they're so expensive.
Yeah. So
they're like technically one of one because something hand painted is not going to come out the same every single time.
Yes. I think if I had the money, those are much more special to me because you're adding the time, the effort, the straight raw skill of that person. And if I'm like going
original art.
Your original art, and if I'm going on Etsy, I'm scouring. I'm looking for the best artists, and I'm looking for who I think is worth my money. And so when I do eventually get those in the mail or whatever, I would be like, holy grail, glass case. Like, these are amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have not dropped the money on any of those yet. I have certainly looked. Most of these Etsy sellers, and rightfully so, because they're typically hand-painted, are listed for like $200-$300, which is just not currently in the book budget, but they're beautiful. And I agree. I think something that is licensed from the author, that's a primary point for me, because I think it's incredibly sketchy to not license content from an author's books, but that's a whole nother conversation. That those are far more like God tier special than something that was mass produced from a printer.
Yeah.
Same thing with the rebinds.
Yeah.
That are
and
on Etsy.
There's just a specific amount of technical skill that
Mm-hmm.
comes with both of those, which I like. It's like a lot of people are like, I can do that. I can pay. No, like the actual technical skill of being able to have the amount of pressure and the right type of paint and the amount of mixing so that it doesn't bleed into the pages where like you're looking into it and it's just ruined.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's huge. And binding is also incredibly difficult looking with the videos that we watch. So you're really just...
Yeah, everyone thinks that if they just buy the bookbinding kits on Amazon, they'll be able to do it. And I certainly don't think that that's the case. I think there's a level of talent to rebinding books in a way that has longevity.
Yeah.
That this is sort of a new thing, the whole rebinding trend. So it's like you want to see how these home rebinds hold up 10 years from now. Because it's like, if I'm going to drop $300 on a rebound copy of something, I want it to be like a god tier heirloom
Facts.
type of book. So I don't want in 10 years from now the pages to be falling out of the spine because somebody didn't know how to do it right.
You want to know what the one type of rebind I will never ever buy / no offense to anybody, but I think it's the ugliest thing ever?
What?
Is the one where they take like 5 books in a series and put it into one big Bible.
Oh my god, yeah.
Thing?
No, did you see somebody did it with Throne of Glass?
I think there's just like a couple that I've seen.
3 feet tall.
I was like, that's a toddler.
It's an entire shelf of your bookshelf for one book.
And the shelf can't even hold it, I'm sure. Like, you have to put it on like the top.
No, literally. Yeah, no, those are hilarious. But I think I agree that all the hand-done stuff on Etsy is more special. But I also think it's one of those things that needs to be done right. And the trends of like, oh, somebody showed me how to do it on TikTok, so I can do it and then I can sell it. Maybe don't.
Yeah, it's a little hairy to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of rules and don't want to step on anybody's toes and...
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. I know there are a lot of Etsy sellers that do it right, that are licensed. Like our friend Maddie has licensed products for Rachel Gillig that are super cool.
Sick.
And that's the right way to go about things. And I think Etsy is sort of a gray area for stuff like that. I'm sure it's tough for authors because there's no way you can strike down every person that's making a sticker or a rebind, or especially for fanfic.
And it's even tougher for Etsy too, because Etsy themselves takes such a big chunk of their like commissions or whatever, so they have to up it even more. So it's just it's a struggle bus for people on Etsy, I'm sure. It
really is. I'm sure it is. But yes, at the end of the day, I think special editions are cool. Yes, these explosion of everything has a sprayed edge is really discounting what is special about special editions. And at the end of the day, I think something that somebody made with their own 2 hands is more special than something mass produced.
Absolutely.
Those are your takeaways for my opinions on the special edition yap that we have just done.
Well, then that brings us perfectly to our like actual bookish question of the day, which is like completely opposite side of it, is what's your most prized bookish possession then?
So after I've yapped about how many special editions I've spent all this time searching for and researching, my most prized possessions are not special editions. I want to know. I want to know if you have a guess at what those potentially could be.
So if they're not special editions, I'm thinking it's your like. It's such a cop out answer though. It's your like old Stephen King edition. Yeah. Okay.
Ding ding. So I own first editions of It, Cujo, The Shining, Misery. Probably more than that, but those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head that are actual first run, first print, first editions. And if my house was on fire, that would be what I would grab.
I was literally going to say, is that what you're grabbing if your house is on fire?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Without a doubt. Do I own some cool special editions? Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Those Stephen King books, that's what I would go for.
If you were going to put it into perspective of the legwork, finding those anywhere else is like 50 years trying to find it. Those, like a week. Any other ones you could find in a week.
100%. And the craziest part of my first edition Stephen King's is that you're going to die at this. I don't know if I've ever told you this. Every single first edition that I own except for one, I walked into Value Village in my city.
I hate you.
And someone had dumped, I'm assuming someone had died. Someone had dumped their entire collection of Stephen King hardcovers in literally unread, pristine condition in boxes.
Yeah, that's...
Quite literally half of my Stephen King hardcover collection came from that Value Village that day, and those first editions were just in a pile.
Wow.
Quite literally on the floor. So I paid probably, this would have been almost 5 years ago now, when books at Value Village were $3 to $5.99, $3 to $4.99, something like that. And buy 4 get 1 free. So I probably paid $60.
60 wouldn't even cover one now. Like,
no, so I heartbreakingly, you know about this, had a book fall off a shelf.
oh yeah.
And the spine cracked. And I have been searching for months to try and replace it, and it would probably cost me almost $1,000.
To replace, or is there like a fix?
I could probably fix it. Like, I can stabilize the spine, but in the condition that I had originally purchased it in, it would cost me almost $1,000.
So that's an at-home fix. Is there somebody who's the actual spine doctor?
Maybe.
Because that could be like a middle ground where it's like so close, but it's not $1,000.
Yeah, true. Gotta search for that.
Yeah.
So, Mr. doesn't own many special editions, doesn't have as many books as I do. What's your most prized
I'd probably say
possession?
the Roxy signed book.
Yeah.
Because there was a whole, it's like name, message, all like the PR things she sent.
Yes.
Just the whole shebang of it all just felt so special because it didn't feel... She made us feel special in terms of not just another fan, because she's still indie. So
yes.
Knowing she hand-packed it, she wrote everything, she took her time, it just mattered a whole lot more. And like
Agreed.
I said, it's like I can always just go get other books somewhere else.
Those are also irreplaceable. I fully agree with that.
Yeah, and like it's like an author gifted thing in my first year reading, finding things like that is just it's so crazy. It's so awesome.
Yeah, and just the act of getting PR at all is so crazy. Yeah, like Roxy made us feel so freaking special with those packages. That's also, break it down here. If my kids were safe, my pets were safe, and my husband was safe, my house was on fire, and I could grab handfuls of things, it would be my first edition Stephen King's, my whole stack of Roxy's, and potentially my original prints of Harry Potter. If I had the hands. Because those are like childhood books for me.
Yeah, and I'm seeing actually a lot of moms on TikTok right now who are reading with their kids their like first editions or their books when they were teens, and the kids are like, "How old were you?" She was like, "I was 14 and I'm like 28 now, and my kid is getting into it, and I'm there holding his hand for his first Harry Potter heartbreak."
Oh my god, stuff. You saw that TikTok too.
We're on the same page, yeah.
Oh my god, it hurt.
And the guy was like, "And he said a Avada Kedavra." It's like,
no, yeah. Oh my god, it killed me. It killed me.
So good.
We were talking about this the other day as well. I literally just picked up at the thrift store a copy of Dragon Rider by Cornelia Funk for my 3-year-old once he's old enough, so that we can read it together, because that's probably 8-year-old Morgan's version of Fourth Wing.
Facts.
So that's like super special, but that's replaceable. So that's not as sentimental.
Sure.
It's not like it's my copy from when I was a kid.
That's true.
Now that we got all sentimental, we are also going to throw in a versus question for this week.
Right.
And it's an interesting one.
I did this one.
It's more of a would you rather than a versus.
Sure.
Would you rather have dinner with your favorite author or dinner with your favorite character? And who would you choose?
Okay, so 2 answers for each. One answer that's serious, one answer that's not. So
I love
my non-serious ones, I would, if I was doing it for an author, I would want to have dinner with the cracked out version of Stephen King.
From the 80s.
Just absolutely cracked. I just want to sit there and listen to the crap he wants to say.
Love it.
And it's non-serious but serious in terms of characters. Teddy.
I fucking knew it. When I asked you this question before we started filming, I said, I swear to God, that man better say Teddy or I'm calling his ass out.
So Teddy.
Yes.
And then serious answers of authors. I obviously just got into them, so Lila Sage would be really fun.
Yes, totally.
Because questioning of just all the mental health stuff would be like, where did you get, and the male perspective, just like, where did you get all this?
I feel like everyone would leave crying.
From 100%.
I love that.
If I ever got a chance to go have dinner with an author, you bet your ass I'm bringing you.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
And the serious character, Miss Scarlett Clark.
Interesting.
I don't know why. I mean, I do, but like I don't. I like it, but I don't.
Do you want to tell everyone where that's from in case they don't know?
That's my first book girlfriend from They Never Learn.
There we go.
So good.
So good.
Something about the redhead professor vibes. I don't know. Maybe she could teach me a little something.
LOL. Not both of yours being redheads.
Teddy's copper.
Homie, that's red.
My fiance's red.
I was just about to say that.
I fucking
There is a
win.
theme.
I win.
There is a theme.
That's so funny.
That's hilarious.
Okay, what's yours? You said you had trouble with this?
I do have trouble with this because, I mean, as everyone can tell from my previous answer, I'm a diehard Stephen King fan.
Yeah.
I would love the opportunity to have dinner with him and talk about everything, because I've read probably a solid 80% of everything that he's written.
Damn.
I also would absolutely die to have a full-on conversation with Bailey Hannah. Like, Alive and Wells did things to me that no romance book has done, from like just the seriousness of the way she addresses things and like how she balanced like pretty dark topics with real feeling romance. Like, I just would love to talk to her.
Hell yeah.
About all of that. And honestly, about her experience as a Canadian author. Because she started as a Canadian indie. She just got signed to traditional publishing this year. So, like, I think that'd be a really cool conversation.
Yeah.
As well as, like, the cool thing with Stephen King would be that, like, he was a traditionally published author before I was even a speck in the universe. Like, so that would be, like, it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
Than what we're experiencing now. So I think that would be really cool. Also, as an aside, Rachel Gillig, but...
Yeah. Yeah. Too.
There are a number of authors, and I think we both agree that, like, Roxy would obviously be someone we would love to sit down and have dinner with.
Absolutely.
But I think that's so realistically actually a bucket list item for us that we're going to try and make happen in this lifetime, that's not a valid answer because it may actually happen.
I know. I would try so hard.
If there's ever an opportunity that Roxy comes to, like, a signing, a conference, and anything, our asses will be there.
Yeah, that we can feasibly do, yes.
100%. Characters. The female main character from the Mindfuck series. You have not read it.
No. But
in a similar breath to your first book, girlfriend, I would love to discuss her choices.
Great ladies.
And just the shit that she went through. You still need to read that, but that's an aside.
Yeah, I have to be in the right headspace for those, I think.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. They're very dark. Another main character that I would love, Riddick.
Oh, why did I not think about that?
Your Teddy is Riddick for me.
True.
And just not even dinner. I just want to
shoot the
blast
shit.
music and shoot the shit with Riddick.
Mm-hmm.
That would be such a vibe. So those are my answers. Once again, I had 30 answers swirling around my brain. I initially was one of the OG kids from It. As an adult, that would be so cool. But which one? Why? Yeah. Too many thoughts.
There's a lot there, yeah.
There's a lot to unpack. Main character of the gunslinger. Lots of choices. But yeah, no, if we're going easy choices, main character of the Mindfuck series and Riddick from Fourth Wing.
I thought you were going to say Hoth or Rowan or something.
There are so many options.
There's a lot.
I
was actually just gonna say the monster from One Dark Window. Whatever his name is.
Yeah. I also Elm was on my list.
Yeah, Elm
as well. Rowan, but yeah. It's Raven. Yeah, Elspeth. Anybody from One Dark Window.
I was gonna say anybody from Bookshops and Bone Dust too.
Yeah.
It's tough because when you just like a book, you like them for a reason, so you're just gonna want to say everybody.
Yeah, the female main character from The Wicked Deep.
Oh yeah. That was as much as that tangent, but as much as from the actual episode, I had trouble pushing through that at the beginning, and then
crazy.
It's weirdly different. It's different. I feel different about it. I liked it. I really liked it, but it's like a sleeper pick for me.
It is, and no, I think it is for most people because it's a very different read. It's also YA, so it does read differently than typical witchy, romancy type books.
Yeah,
but it's definitely a sleeper. It's a sleeper.
Yeah, amazing. That felt like a very calm topic today. We didn't get too heated. We didn't get too idiotic. But, I mean, if you guys still stayed and hung out, we love you.
The bar is in hell.
Oh, yeah.
The bar is so low.
It's like we're hungover from the last recording.
Even though it's been a week.
Oh, that was a week-long hangover.
No, it actually felt like we've been hungover for the last week from life.
And it was one glass of wine and one drink for me.
Yeah. Hilarious. Well, on that note, if you stuck it out for this entire episode, we love you. We appreciate you. We would love to hear your thoughts. Are you a BookBox subscriber? Do you collect special editions? What do you think about this whole topic? We would love to hear your thoughts, and you can share them with us over on Instagram.
Yeah, and you guys know where to find us. But hopefully by this time, and we actually are, we are on multiple places now. We are officially on iHeartRadio, Radio Public, Spotify, YouTube, and fingers crossed, Apple Podcast.
And Amazon Music.
And Amazon Music. So wherever your listening needs may lie, we're available to all you guys.
No matter what device you use, no matter where you stream, we should very soon be available to your ear holes.
Oh yeah, let's fill those ear holes ASAP. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Cut it.